Hey there, it's Jen, and I'm back with another collection disconnection video for you. Sorry I didn't have one up last week. I wasn't feeling well and I was super busy, but I have one for you this week, and we're going to start out in Silhouette Studio today. I'm going to use one of the cut files from my shop called Sew Circles, so I'm just going to go ahead and open that. And I'm going to open the SVG. If you have the designer edition, you can use the SVG. If not, you can use the PNG and just trace it. So in order to use well, I'll show you how you use this if it's a PNG. We'll pretend this is the PNG because it works the same way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have click on Select Trace Area. So I'm in the trace window, and I'm just going to drag over the shapes. And I'm going to unclick High Pass Filter, and you'll see that the shapes turn entirely yellow when I do that. And I'm going to click Trace. And then you can see that I'm left with the cut file, and then I can delete this original portion. Well, I'm going to use the SVG today, so I'm just going to show you how you do that. So you just go to the Cut Settings window, and if you have the shape selected, all you need to do is click on Cut, and you'll see that it turns on the cut lines. So now what I can do is I'm going to use 3 of these shapes today to kind of create a little border on the side of my layout. So I want to use the ones that say so good, so pretty, and so fun. So the first thing I'm going to do is ungroup these. So you can do that by selecting the shape, clicking on Control, right click. Well, that's for me on my, you just right click, release compound. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to click on Ungroup, not Release Compound Path. Ungroup. And then all of these are separate. So I'm just going to get rid of the ones that I don't need and delete those. And then you see that on the So Good, the O isn't attached, and so it's going to be ungrouped from the rest. So what I'm going to do is just attach it. And I'm just going to do that by selecting both shapes. And you can see that I moved it so the O is overlapping on that little circle. I'm just going to click on Weld. And now that's attached together. So now I can go ahead and arrange these the way that I want them. So I want So Pretty to be in the middle. This is a layout about my daughter and my nieces walking to Disneyland in the morning from our hotel. And I just want the So Pretty to be in the middle because they're dressed up like princesses this day. And so that's how I'm going to do it. So you can see that what I've done is gone ahead and overlapped the circles, and I'm going to weld these together so it cuts out as one shape. But before I do that, I'm going to just enlarge this a little bit. So I'm going to make it kind of the full side of the page. It's going to be a real focal piece on my layout. And I just want to make sure this is how I really want it. Yeah, I think I like it with a little bit more of a subtle look. Okay. So now that they're all the size that I want them, I'm going to select all 3 of them. I'm just dragging my cursor over it, and I'm in the Modify window, and I'm just going to click on Weld. And that's going to make this all into one shape that cuts out together. So now I'm ready to go ahead and cut this, and I'm just going to cut it out of white cardstock so that I can layer up some pattern papers behind it. Okay, so I have my cut file here, and for the record, I had to cut it out of some inexpensive textured cardstock I got at Hobby Lobby, which is fine for anything but cutting stuff out. So it's not perfect, but I'm just going to go with it. I ran out of my American Crafts 12x12 cardstock, so that's fine. So this is the photo I'm going to be using, and this is just of my daughter and 2 of my nieces walking to Disneyland, and they're wearing their princess dresses, and so I just wanted to point that out here. They're on their way to a princess breakfast, and so that's what this layout's going to be about. So this, the Paige Evans Fancy Free collection has a lot of pink in it, but it does have some red, and so I am going to try to pull out the elements that have more of the red in it because my daughter's wearing a Snow White cape and it's very red, and so rather than focusing on the more pink elements, I'm going to try to pull out any of the reddish elements that I can find to go along with this layout. So I haven't planned anything other than that. I'm just starting here, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to just start this here by looking for some papers that I can maybe layer behind those cutout circles, and I'm looking in both the 6x6 paper pad and the 12x12 because there are some different patterns found in the 12x12 that are not in the 6x6. Now, I'm going to admit to you right now that I struggled with this layout and I just feel like I'm a little bit off my game. I don't know what's going on, but I'm fairly happy with the end result. It's not my favorite layout I've ever made, but I am fine with it. So I think part of the problem was that the colors in my photos were so saturated and kind of primary, and the colors in this particular collection are a little bit softer, but I think I made it work. So I guess this might be a good example of making things work. So what I'm going to do is I found that pattern paper. I've used it before from the 6x6 paper pad that has all of the strips of different patterns on it, and I'm going to layer that behind the entire cut file. So I thought I would back each one with a different cut or with a different pattern paper, but I decided not to do that. So I'm just using my Scotch Quick Dry adhesive in a fine line bottle to get all of those little intricate lines glued down there, and then I'm just going to take my scissors and cut around the outside of the circle. And I just kind of slip my scissors underneath the paper to get a closer edge there. And I really like the way that ends up looking, and it's just kind of fun because it does have a bunch of the different colors, but it still looks contained, or I don't know the word I'm looking for, but I like it. So I wanted to mat my photo on this paper from the 6x6 paper pad, so I just trimmed a little bit off of the photo so that I could do that. And then I thought I would mat it with a couple of other papers, but I don't find anything I really want for this. I think what I'm looking for here is a little bit of something that has a darker tone in it, because the photo has a lot of darker tones and I just don't find it. So what I do is I end up cutting up the cut apart sheet, and I'm going to layer up 2 of the 4x6 cut apart cards above my photo, just kind of creating a line. So there's 3 cut apart there's 3 circles and then 3 4x6 pieces that go next to the circles. And I decided that I wanted to have my title be Magic Memories, and I'm just going to cover up the word that says favorite there at the top. Now I'm just trying to look for colors that will work with this layout that I think look nice. And because I really want to use the red and white polka dot, I cut a 6 into a C just so that I could get another little shot of that color. And I really like the way that ended up looking. And now I'm just kind of playing around with the photos and seeing how I want them laid down on the paper, or with the photo and the cards. And I thought I might put the photo at the top, but you can see here that I'm gluing this down so that I have the cards above the photo. So my title will be at the top, then my journaling, then my photo. And I'm just trying to arrange them in a way that I get the pieces shown that I want to see. And so I flipped that one card for the journaling upside down, so I got a little shot of those red stitches, and I like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and adhere my title, and I'm just covering up the word favorite like I mentioned before. And I really like the way that ends up working together. So I mentioned that I was having a little bit of a hard time with my photo being so dark and then the rest of the things being so light. So what I'm going to do to add a little bit of contrast is outline all of the papers here. And after I outline the papers, I decided to outline the cut file. So I like how soft and pretty it is now, but I do end up outlining the entire thing. And in the end, I like it, but I think it could have worked well either way. So here you can see that I have that outlined, and now I'm going to outline the word memories below the word magic on that 4x6 card. And that I will end up outlining almost everything that goes on this layout just so that it has that consistency, and I do like the contrast that brings to the layout. So that works for me. So what I'm doing now is just adding some foam to the back of that cut file because I want to pop the entire thing up. So I'm just using some double-sided or some cheap fun foam that I got at Walmart, and you can also get it on Amazon. I'll link to it, but it has adhesive on one side, and then I just add adhesive to the other side. And I'm just putting a bunch on the back of that cut file so it stands nice and sturdy. Don't want it to sag over time in my album. And I just like to use the colors I don't think I'll use first, and then I don't feel so bad. But because you can die cut fun foam as well, and that's fun. So now I have all of that down, and I'm just sticking it to my layout. I just used some double-sided adhesive tape to stick all of that down. And now I'm thinking that I might want to mat my my whole layout on another piece of pattern paper. And so I'm pulling a few bright colorful ones that I think might work, but I don't end up using any of them. I do really like that Britt Bass Turner paper, and that I think that would have been a cool border, but I don't end up using it. I end up actually pulling some black cardstock from my stash, but here you see I'm gonna try that Britt Bass paper first. So I don't know, again, I'm feeling like I need the contrast. So I'm just cutting a little bit off of each side of the layout so that I can go ahead and mat this on my black cardstock. I wish I would have done a little less. I feel like it's a little bit overpowering, but I'm just going with it and it's going to be fine. So I'll go ahead and get that adhered down. I'm going to write my journaling first, and I'm just talking about how much my heart almost burst when these little girls were walking in their princess dresses to Disneyland to go have breakfast and see all the princesses. And it was just the sweetest thing. So I just wanted to write down, how magical that was for me. So now I'm going to look through all of my embellishments and die cuts to see what I can add to this. And I noticed that there were a few circles in the die cut package, and I thought it would be fun to include some more circles on the layout to just go along with those large ones. So I'm going to pull out Live a Colorful Life and Our Happy Place, and those will both end up making it onto the layout. I also thought about adding that floral, but I don't end up doing that. The little So Fun does make it on there, the little circle. And I'm going to play around with some of the stuff in the kit to see what might work. I know that there needs to be something between the title and the journaling, and so I'm playing around with some of the dimensional stickers there, but I end up going back to that little label that says favorite. And I do pull out the buttons, and I'll put some of those on as well. So now I'm looking at the chipboard, and I'm going to pull out the one that says friends. I thought about using the one that says family as well because they're cousins and they're family and friends, but I don't end up doing that. And I am also going to try all of these florals on the layout, but they don't end up making it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this because I can't decide what I want to do. I'm going to glue down my background to the black cardstock because I do know that I'm going to do that for sure. And I'm just using that double-sided, it's like a 1/2 inch sticky double-sided tape from Thermoweb. And I've liked using the tapes lately. I don't know why. I know a lot of people think that it's annoying to have to peel off the backing, but there's something super satisfying about it to me, and I really like pulling off the backing, so I don't know. And so that's maybe why I'm using it. But so I'm just going to go ahead, and I put a lot of adhesive on there. I probably didn't need that much. It's not like this layout had mixed media on it or anything. It didn't need to be flattened out, but I just wanted to. So now I'm going to decide where I want those circles to go. And I know I want to have like a little bit of I want them spread out a little. And so I'm going to pop one of them up on foam, actually 2 of them. This larger one that says Live a Colorful Life. And I'm going to put that next to the journaling there. And then the little blue one is going to go in between the So Good and So Pretty circles, and then Our Happy Place is going to go where it is now, and I'm just going to end up stapling that one on. It's just a clear acetate piece, and I find that's the easiest way to adhere them, and I love stapling stuff on anyway. So now I'm going to pull some of the buttons, and I'm going to place them with the other circles. And I just think that's a fun way to bring a little bit more of a saturated look to this layout. Everything's really soft colors, but the photo is really saturated. So I felt the need to bring some more saturation. The clear acetate piece is a little bit saturated as well, so that helps. So I am pulling off the buttons are on some little foam adhesive, and I'm going to pull that off the back so they lay a little bit flatter on the page, and I am stringing them with a little bit of crochet thread. And then I'm just using some of that same double-sided sticky tape on the back of it to hold the threads down as well as adhere them onto the layout. And I like the way the buttons end up looking. It's been a long time since I used buttons, to be honest. So I bought these knowing that buttons were a hard thing for me to use, but that I wanted to just try to push myself a little bit. So I end up adding the friends up above the word favorite. And now I'm still trying to see if I want to add in those floral pieces. And I do kind of like the way they look, but I don't end up adding them. I kept looking at it over and over. That I lifted it up so I could see it from a different angle. And I don't know. this layout was a tricky one for me, to be honest. So I'm looking at the puffy stickers, trying to see if there's anything there that I want to add. And I do end up pulling off a little heart. Oh, I will end up adding that word smile, but not where it is right now. I'm going to move it up to the top above the title. Okay, so I guess I just now put that little heart on the puffy sticker. I thought about adding some of the other puffy sticker hearts, but they just didn't look right. So I end up taking those off, and I'm going to pull some hearts from the die cut package. There's some silver foil ones, and then there's also some that are half color and half silver foil. So I'm going to use one silver one at the top, and I'm going to staple that on, and then I'll use the one that's silver and color in that our happy place cluster. So now I'm trying to decide if I want to make another cluster in that little crevice between So Pretty and So Fun. And I like the idea of putting something there, but that's just 4 different embellishment spots, and I don't like that. So you can see I'm outlining that smile die cut, and I'm going to place it above my title now. And that is almost going to complete the layout. I'm just finishing outlining a few things, and then I will go ahead and I'm going to add some Heidi Swap butter color shine, so it's a nice pretty yellow color. And then so that's what I'm doing now, is just shaking up my Heidi shine. And then as kind of my last little finishing touch, I'm going to add the date along the bottom of the photo, and I'm just going to stamp it multiple times without re-inking, and it just kind of fades off. So that is going to finish things up. I'm looking up the date now in my little travel journal. And if you have questions about that, be sure to check out my photo triage class. Anyway, I'm going to come back and talk to you real time now. Okay, so here's the finished layout, and it definitely turned out different than I expected. I'm finding that's happening a lot with the layouts I'm creating with this collection. I said I wasn't going to use pink at the beginning, but I definitely decided to, and I did pull out some of the red elements. I particularly wanted to use the red and white polka dot letter stickers for my title because this is a Disney memory, and I felt like I needed contrast with this collection. I'm finding that a lot with all of the pages I'm making. I want a little bit of contrast, and so I just mounted my layout on black cardstock, which most of my layouts in my Disney album are on white cardstock mounted on a colored cardstock background or a black cardstock background. So this will work great in my album. And I really liked playing with the circles here, and so that was fun and interesting. So I hope that this has been, I don't know, somewhat helpful to you to learn how to use a collection. I focused, I guess, on some of the cards in the collection, and then also on pulling out some of the circular elements, and those were fun to pair together. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Collection Disconnection. Head over to my blog for more details and close-up photos of everything that you see here.